going on, fam? How's everybody doing? Happy lunchtime. I'm not going to be in here long. So hit the like button, do what you do, but I'm not taking a long time to be in here today. I just had something, you ever go to bed on something and then you wake up on that same something and you still ain't right and you went to bed on it and it should have left you while you slept and you came back and it wasn't right. That's how I feel about, I don't know if you all haven't seen it. I put the post up last night, Dr. Jason Johnson versus Nina Turner. And for those of you who have not seen it, it's up on my Twitter feed. And you can go watch it now. It's only like a minute long video or whatever the case may be. It's only like a minute or so long. And like he doubled down in another video. I think Reggie from Boston posted that as well. And I wanted to talk about it because a lot of stuff stood out about what is wrong with the political conversation and what is wrong with Dr. Johnson here. Right? So the first thing you really, what's going on, fam? How's everybody doing? Happy lunch. Hope you have a sandwich. I love sandwiches. Anyway, a lot of stuff really stood out. The first thing I realized, I just wonder, and if Dr. Jason Johnson, because what he really did, for those of you who haven't seen the video, Dr. Jason Johnson chastised Nina Turner. Nina Turner she's been on the Bernie campaign for a long time. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not supporting any presidential candidate at this point. But what I saw in that video was troubling. I saw Jason Johnson go at Nina Turner in a way that I've never seen him go at a white female Democratic surrogate. I've never seen him go at somebody like that, because what he basically did was chastise her for calling Bloomberg an oligarch, when really and truthfully we can all make the case that he's an oligarch. I don't think Jason Johnson knows the definition of the word. You have a PhD. He came on and said, well, an oligarch we think about Russians and Russian barons, and that's not what's happening here. No, the derivative, where the word comes from, is Russian. That doesn't mean that we're not having that conversation. Want to know how? There's a whole debate in this country about whether or not we live in an oligarchy. Remember that study saying America is an oligarchy? 3 rebuttals say it's wrong. We're having a whole debate. But you're going to chastise Nina Turner for calling Bloomberg. Let's just break some things down. There's some things that we have to break down. Bloomberg isn't even a billionaire. The man is worth an estimated $60 billion. That's not even an ordinary billionaire. And let's just put this in terms, fam. Let's just put this in terms that we can all understand. Let me bring this down a little bit. Hold on 1 second for me. I said in a post yesterday that there are probably less than 600 billionaires. I think the post I saw yesterday said that when I pulled it up that there were like 607 or 602 billionaires in America. For Jason Johnson to say, well, we have rich people and he's rich just like Bernie's rich. We have a little over 600 billionaires in America. Do you know how many people are in America? Being a billionaire isn't just being rich. Who says that? Who thinks that thought and thinks that thought makes sense? Well, he's just, the man you support is in the top 1%. You don't compare millionaires with billionaires. Billionaires can buy companies and put you out of work. Billionaires can buy their way into the DNC. Billionaires can do that. Listen, there's a reason why when we were talking about Carnell that Antonio kept pointing out that he was a billionaire. Because a black billionaire saying what he was saying about being shut out is different. Because a millionaire and a billionaire are not the same. Only people who don't understand power in America would say that. Do you think, I would even argue that a single digit billionaire isn't the same as a man who's worth 60 billion. How? In what world? Well, Nina Turner, Bernie Sanders in the top 1%. He don't have nothing on somebody that's worth 60 billion. None of us do. And let me just say this. We've been seeing Mr. Bloomberg wield his power in terms of what he's doing for the party. So Mike Bloomberg gave the DNC $300K 2 days before he entered the 2020 race. Yeah, you can do that. You can just throw a little money around, especially when you know, like I know, I used to work for the DNC. They have a hard time making payroll. So throw a little cash that way. Goes a long way when you want to change the rules. So it kind of sounds like oligarchy stuff when you start doing what you're doing, don't it? But what does it mean? What does the oligarchy conversation mean? From the Department of Academics confirming something you already suspected comes a new study concluding that rich people and organizations representing business interests have a powerful grip on U.S. government policy. Well, what are they trying to say? They're trying to say, if you look up the definition, even though it's derived from a Russian word, what it means is that a very rich person having political influence. How is that not Bloomberg? A very rich person having a political influence, an outsized political influence. Let's just go with a couple more quotes from that article about the oligarchy. After examining differences in public opinion across income groups on a wide variety of issues, the political scientists Martin Gillens of Princeton and Benjamin Page of Northwestern found that the preferences of rich people had a much bigger impact on subsequent policy decisions than views of middle income or poor Americans. Indeed, the opinions of lower income groups and the interest groups that represent them appear to have little or no independent impact on policy. That's oligarchy. Our analysis suggests that majorities of the American public actually have little influence over the policies government adopts. Gillens and Page write. And there's a quote that goes up under that, but I didn't pull the quote because I don't think it's necessary. What I'm saying to you is that, first of all, we've had this debate. What Dr. Jason Johnson is doing is normalizing income inequality. I don't know how you be a black man. Aren't you at Morgan State, a school which is taking all kinds of groups? It's not really a HBCU. It's taking all kinds of people of color because we can't really come there in those numbers and pay the tuition, so they had to figure other stuff out. I don't know how you don't understand and appreciate the problems caused by income inequality. Now, you can say that, but what you've just done is normalize a billionaire. And not just a billionaire. This man is worth $60 billion. You have normalized that as we got rich people everywhere. He's just another rich person. He's just rich and everybody rich and people have money. Rich people. We got rich people everywhere in America. Gosh, what you won't do for a butter biscuit. What you won't do to make sure that when your contract is back, that you get re-upped. I'm going to tear into Bernie. I'm going to tear into Bernie by going through his black female surrogate. I'm not going to tear into Bernie by really going into a bunch of different white folks. I'm not going to do that. But when Nina Turner comes here, oh God, I'm not a hothouse flower no more. Because most of the time, Jason Johnson saves the smoke for Twitter. We have a lot of cases where people talk to him in public and he folds like a flower in a fire. But you had all the heat and all the smoke because she said he was an oligarch. And he technically fits the definition. Not only does he fit the definition of it, one of the things that Johnson did was call Nina Turner. I don't know why you're name calling. If somebody fits the definition of it, that's what you are. If you fit the definition of ADOS, am I name calling by saying you're ADOS? If you fit the definition of a short person, am I name calling by saying, hey, you're short or you're taller than I expected? Am I name calling? But for somebody, it's very interesting. For somebody who has called names as much as this man has. Now, we don't have anything to do with Brexit. He tried to put us together with this right-wing Republican thing and called us clowns. Now, you want to talk about name calling. You don't have any problem calling ADOS names. You don't have any problem saving your fire for Nina Turner. You do what you have to do to get the butter biscuit. You think we confused? We're not confused. Ain't nobody confused about what you do, Jason Johnson. Nobody's confused. You have no problem calling a whole group of people who are fighting for reparations of black agenda clowns. But all of a sudden, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't understand why you're name calling. I don't know why you're doing that. This is a guy who likes to punch down. That's what weak people do. They punch down. They can't punch up. Their arms ain't right. You punch down. You do that to us and you troll us because people say, and then people who read you were like, yeah, they must be because Jason Johnson said they're bots and trolls. Like he's some kind of authority on anything. And then he said something else stupid. We could start a whole thread, a whole meme of every stupid thing that Jason Johnson has said. He said, well, let me just bring this up bigger so you can see. And this is from like today. One more time for the people in the back. And you're not funny. Like people, if you're not funny, stop trying to be funny. You're not funny. You're not a funny guy. You're not witty. None of that. Stop. One more time for the people who didn't hear the first time. If I don't have health care and am struggling to make $15 an hour, the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is negligible to me. Order of magnitude isn't the issue. Oh, you don't understand income inequality. You don't understand power. You don't understand anything. There is nothing negligible about the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire. And I don't care whether you are making $15 an hour or whether you are unemployed. There is an enormous amount of difference. You want to know what the difference looks like in real life? Let me see if I can find what the difference looked like. Because I don't understand what he's talking about. This is what the difference looks like. See, if you're a millionaire, a lot of stuff you can do, but you can't buy a media company and lay people off. You can't do that usually as Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders can't go around because you compare it with Bernie Sanders. He's a top 1%. Nina, why you call it? Why you pick it on Bloomberg? You might need Bloomberg's money. See, that's what it is. That's what you run around. You run around chasing crumbs. You might need Bloomberg's money. Now, I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders because he ain't a fan of reparations and he's been ducking what it is. What are reparations? I can't do. But that doesn't mean that you get to act like stuff is true that's not true. Bloomberg just bought CityLab and put half of its reporters out of work. Bernie Sanders can't do that. You can buy up all kind of stuff. You can buy up all kind of companies and reporting companies and make sure the news suits you if you want to. You can become a media baron and change the whole dialogue as a billionaire worth as much as Bloomberg is worth. That is the power of being a billionaire. You don't understand that the power, you think that the power is different? You don't think that the power is different? You think that they're the same because if you see through the lens of somebody making $15 an hour, I don't see the difference. The difference still exists whether or not you see it. What you can do, the power you can wield is very different. And if you don't see it, I don't know why you're on TV. I don't know why you're teaching at anybody's college if you can't see that there are differences there. We can go to a couple of the other differences. Let's look at one of the other differences that people are complaining about, and rightfully so. They changed. Why do you think they changed the rules for DNC overhaul's debate requirements? Open the door for Bloomberg. That didn't happen for Marianne Williamson. That didn't happen for all of the other people who've been booted off stage, right? And who haven't been able to make debates. Why do you think it happened for him? Let's just read a little bit about it for a quick second, shall we? The Democratic National Committee is drastically revisiting its criteria to participate in primary debates after New Hampshire, doubling the polling threshold and eliminating the individual donor requirement, which could pave the way for New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg to take the stage beginning mid-February. Candidates will need to earn at least 10% in 4 polls released from January 15th to February 18th, or 12% in 2 polls conducted in Nevada or South Carolina in order to participate in the February 19th debate in Las Vegas. Any candidate who earns at least 1 delegate, 1 is all you need, to the national convention in either the Iowa caucus or New Hampshire primary will also qualify for the Nevada debate. The new criteria eliminate the individual donor threshold. Pay close attention to that. The new criteria eliminate the individual donor threshold, which was used for the first 8 debates, including next week's debate in New Hampshire. Bloomberg, the self-funding billionaire, has refused to take donations from individuals, which has thus far precluded him from participation. So let me tell you what that means. See, normally when you do the work, you have to do the work to be a presidential candidate. Doing the work usually means you got to get a bunch of donors. You got to go around. You got to talk to people. You got to be a popular candidate because people have to donate to you. That's what it means. You have set it up to where now I can just have money. I don't got to do none of this other stuff that you have to do. I don't have to, people don't have to like me or nothing. My money make you like me. And what? But you don't get to call him an oligarch. You don't get to say nothing bad about him. You don't get to have a word. You don't get to be Nina Turner. You're going to get chastised by the Cheshire Cat. The Cheshire Cat who normally spends his time on MSNBC grinning and skinning and, hey, how you doing? I agree. You're going to get chastised by that guy. By what right? He don't even make sense. Let me go to this last little quote. Previously, the donor threshold had proved insurmountable barrier for Bloomberg. We just got to go back through this. Who did not want to alter his promise to never accept campaign contributions, which he touts in prompting what he says is his independence from financial special interests. How does a billionaire talk about I'm independent? You audit special interests. You talk about being independent from. I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying that you got a right to call him an oligarch. When you're wielding that kind of power and you run around, you're firing people and you're putting all that kind of money in your own campaign, everybody has a right to say, looks kind of like an oligarch to me. And you have a right not to be chastised by the Cheshire Cat. God. I just want you to look at this money. Federal records show Mr. Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City, spent $132 million on television advertising, far overshadowing the campaign spending of the other Democrats in the race. In total, the Bloomberg campaign had spent $188 million by the end of December. Who else can do that? See, $188 million. Let's just understand something. I want everybody to understand something. We've had a lot of conversation about ADOS in politics and running candidates and things like that, right? A lot of conversation. You can't do that. How would it? Let me just scrap that and ask a question that really kind of shows. How could an ADOS candidate run against a Bloomberg? Because that's what America is creating. That's what income inequality is doing. Calcification of wealth on the top. And this is still our situation. No matter what happens to that, this is our situation, right? So, how does this group compete against a Bloomberg that can just come in and doesn't have to raise funds? See, all these other candidates, including Bernie Sanders, have to raise money. An ADOS candidate has another. If you're running for president, even if you're running for state lawmaker, you have some others. How do you run against a Bloomberg? And instead of saying, you know what, this kind of money is problematic in our politics and we need to talk about it and figure it out, Citizens United, whatever the case may be, this self-funded stuff, whatever the case may be. Because that means that he ain't got to listen to you. He ain't got to listen to me. He can just do his own thing, whatever he want to do, because he Bloomberg and he's worth $60 billion. He can buy you and put you outside with a sign on top of your head. Now, what I'm saying is, a black person who's speaking on TV, especially from a black school, I think he's in Morgan, which are underfunded and undercapitalized, taking the side of a white billionaire who looks like he done gave money to the DNC, done paid his way, look like into the debate. It looks like you should have a problem with that, as opposed to using your time on the air to attack the black surrogate for Sanders' campaign. It looks like you would have a better way to spend your time, unless you are planting your flag in Clintonite middle of the roadness so that you can maintain a space on TV. You wanted this to be your day, Dr. Jason Johnson. Now you got it. This is your day. People are talking about you, but they're talking about you for all the wrong reasons. But you know, like I know, that you're going to get your biscuit buttered. And people know that you're the middle of the road and you can be counted on to be a milquetoast, to be like this milquetoast, little feeble surrogate. People can count on you for that. They know they can count on you for that. MSNBC knows it. They knows you're never going to get off the range in terms of your political thought. And they can have a nice little fight between you and another black person. They know it. You know it too. And that's part of the problem, and that's who you are. And the reason we can't have good black politics, and the reason we can't have transformative justice, and the reason we can't have transformative politics, because nobody calls out a person like Dr. Jason Johnson when he stands up for oligarch. I ain't seen him stand up for nothing the way he stood up for. You ain't took on nothing that way. You're the reason we can't have nice things. You pretend to be somebody you're not. You pretend to be from you pretend to be like a white professor at an Ivy League school who's conservative or whatever. You pretend to be something that you're not. And we can't have good politics because of people like you. So, I mean, fam, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, but he's a problem, and people like him are a problem. There's a reason why he targeted Nina Turner to have that whole, and he's chastising her about what she's going to do and what you have to do, because you might need some Bloomberg money, because I always run for the monies. When I see the monies, I take off running. Nina, you might need some Bloomberg money, and this isn't helpful for you to be calling names. You done called us trash, Jason Jones. You done called us clowns, and all of a sudden you're opposed to calling names. So that's all I wanted to say, fam. I just want to come in here for a quick hit and talk about how Dr. Jason Johnson shouldn't even be on TV. He shouldn't be talking about nothing. And I'm tired of seeing this Cheshire in anyway. But that was just a bridge too far. You don't attack white women like you did that last night and just chastise them like they don't know anything or don't have the right to call somebody by something. It'd be different if she had called him a low down dirty dog. No, she just said, oligarch. He fits the definition. That's just what it is. And I think we have to understand when people are a problem. If a person is a problem, you have to understand that this person is a problem. Something got to be done about this. And you have to understand how damaging what he said. I don't have a dog in this race. I'm not for Bernie Sanders. I'm not for nobody. I haven't seen any presidential candidate that I would say I would side for. But you chose to go after her for a specific reason. You chose to anchor yourself in middle of the road in this conservative kind of like centrist democratic policies, and you decided I'm gonna use Nina Turner to do it. And I just think that whole thing, I just think it was so problematic. He's not just a rich guy. He's just a rich guy. And we have a lot of rich people. That's not what being worth 60 billion is. But listen, I hope Bloomberg, please call Johnson. He obviously wants to be on your campaign or something too. So, please, do that. And, I saw, for everybody else, I saw the Sheila Jackson Lee toolkit. Oh, maybe that'll have to be tomorrow's show or something. It's just stupid stuff. Wake up to stupid stuff. Go to bed to stupid stuff. Wake up, go to bed. Just dumb. I don't even know. But fam, thank you for tuning in for a little midday lunch of a show. I appreciate it. We will be back as usual at our usual time tomorrow at our usual time. But I had to come in and talk about this because I found it a problem. So anyway, fam, hit the like button. I will see you tomorrow. I am out.